I didn't hear the door open. I only noticed my son was home when he whispered, "Mum, why are you on the floor?" I froze. My cheek was still stinging. I could taste blood in my mouth. Mike was standing over me, breathing hard, his hands still clenched. For a second, no one moved. Then Tyler took a step forward. His backpack dropped to the floor with a heavy thud. "Tyler," I said quickly, trying to get up. My voice cracked. "Go to your room." But he didn't move. He just stared at Mike. "Did you hit her?" His voice was quiet, scared, angry. Mike looked down at me, then back at Tyler. And just like that, the mask came back on. That sweet, calm face he wore for everyone outside our home. "Nobody. Your mum fell. She's always so clumsy, huh?" He forced a smile. Tyler looked at me, just me. My eye was swelling already, and my lip was split. He wasn't stupid. He wasn't a little kid anymore. "I saw you," he said. My heart broke. All these years, I'd hidden everything from him. I thought I was protecting him. I thought if I took it all quietly, it would never touch him. But now it had. It had crashed straight into his world, and I could see it in his eyes. He'd never look at his father the same way again. Mike stepped toward him, trying to act casual, like nothing had happened. "Hey, champ." "Don't!" Tyler snapped. He stepped back. Mike's face shifted, just for a second. That cold, dangerous expression he usually saved for me. Tyler saw it, and I think something inside him snapped too. Later, in the bathroom, Tyler handed me a tissue for my bleeding lip. His hands were shaking. "How long?" he whispered. I didn't answer. I couldn't. He sat down beside me, silent for a long time. Then he said, "We can't stay here." I wanted to say, "I know," but the truth was I didn't. I didn't know where we could go. I didn't have a plan. But my son saw the truth today, and I could see it in his face. He wasn't going to forget it. Maybe, just maybe, that was the beginning of something. Everyone thought Mike was perfect. He had that smile, the kind that made people trust him without question. At school events, he'd shake hands with teachers, make small jokes, charm every single person in the room. He never missed a parent-teacher meeting. He coached Tyler's baseball team for a season. He was the guy who shoveled the neighbor's driveway after a snowstorm, who donated to every fundraiser at church. And every time he brought me flowers, someone somewhere was calling him such a great husband. But I knew the truth. He only brought flowers after the rage had settled, after his fist had gone through the wall, or after I'd been cornered in the kitchen, gasping while he hissed threats through clenched teeth. The flowers were part of the cycle, like the silence, like the soft apologies, like the way he'd pretend nothing happened the next morning. He never hit me where it would show, not until recently. He knew how to hide the bruises, and I got good at hiding everything else. I used to tell myself I stayed for Tyler, that as long as Mike didn't hurt him, I could take it. I thought I was protecting him by staying. I told myself Tyler needed a father, that I didn't have enough money, or friends, or anywhere to go. And Mike reminded me of that often. "Where would you run, huh?" he'd say. "Who would believe you?" I'd get full custody in 5 minutes. He had control of everything. The bank accounts, the house, the car in his name. I hadn't worked in years, not since Tyler was born. That wasn't an accident. Mike made sure of that. But now, Tyler knew. He saw it. And suddenly, all the reasons I had for staying started to feel like excuses. They weren't enough anymore. Because now, Tyler was scared. And worse, he felt guilty, like it was his job to protect me. He hadn't said it, but I saw it in the way he looked at me after that day. Like he was watching me too closely. Like he didn't trust me to be okay on my own. It wasn't supposed to be this way. I looked at our family pictures that night, the ones hanging in the hallway. Mike's hand always on my shoulder. Tyler standing in front of us. Smiles, clean clothes, perfect lighting, a lie in every frame. I remembered last Thanksgiving. Mike had been the life of the party, laughing with my sister and charming my aunt with stories. He made the turkey, poured the wine, toasted to family. That night, after everyone left, he shattered a glass when I forgot to put away the cranberry sauce. I still have a scar on my ankle from where a shard cut through my sock. No one ever knew. They still ask me, "How's Mike? He's such a good guy." And I always smiled, said, "Yeah, he's great." But now I didn't want to lie anymore, because Tyler wasn't a kid I could protect with silence. Not anymore. He saw what I never wanted him to see, and I wasn't sure how to protect him now, except to finally do what I should have done years ago. "How long has this been happening?" Tyler asked me that 2 days after he walked in on Mike hitting me. His voice was calm, but I knew it took everything in him to stay that way. I looked at him and tried to smile, like I could still pretend everything was okay. I said something like, "It's complicated," or "Let's not talk about it right now." But his eyes didn't leave mine. He didn't believe me. The next week, I got a call from his school. Tyler had punched another boy during gym. Apparently, the kid made a joke about dads. Something stupid, harmless to most people. But it lit something in Tyler, something I knew had been building for a long time. At home, he barely spoke to Mike. Ate in silence. Spent more time in his room. I thought he was shutting down, but I was wrong. He was planning. I found out by accident. I was doing laundry when I noticed his old phone plugged in behind his dresser. It wasn't even on his account anymore. We'd replaced it months ago. But it was powered up and recording. Just recording. I picked it up, and the pit in my stomach told me this wasn't just about school or anger. This was about us. About Mike. I confronted him later that night, when Mike was out. "Tyler," I whispered, "what is this?" He didn't look guilty. He didn't flinch. He just walked over to his desk, opened the drawer, and pulled out a flash drive. "I've been recording since the night it happened," he said, "and a few times before. I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know how bad." My hands shook as I took the drive. "If he finds this, he won't," he said. I hid it good. That night, I sat alone in my room, earbuds in, laptop open. I clicked play. It was all there. The shouting, the threats, the slaps, me begging under my breath, and Tyler's voice once in the background, too soft to hear clearly, saying, "Mom, please." I didn't cry. I felt something else, something sharper than fear. I wasn't just scared anymore. I was getting ready. I listened to the recordings alone, late at night. Tyler was asleep in his room. Mike was passed out on the couch, a half-empty beer bottle still in his hand. I sat in the dark with my laptop, earbuds in, afraid the sound would leak out and wake him. The first clip started with silence, then footsteps, then my voice, nervous and small, saying, "Mike, please, not tonight." Then the snap of his voice, "Don't tell me what to do." I heard the sound of something shattering, probably a plate, then me, crying, then nothing for a while, just breathing. The next recording was worse. You could hear him slap me. My body remembered that sound before my brain did. I flinched, even though it was just audio. And then I heard myself scream, not loud, just broken, like something inside me had snapped. I paused it, pulled the earbuds out. My whole body was shaking. I pressed my palms over my ears, but it didn't stop the noise in my head. I couldn't sleep that night. The next morning, Mike acted like nothing had happened. He kissed me on the cheek, asked what I wanted for dinner, told Tyler to have a good day at school, like he was some sitcom dad. I watched him walk out the door, then I locked it behind him. I stood there, leaning against it, staring at the wood grain. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely breathe. I thought about all the times I should have left. The time he slapped me so hard I couldn't hear out of one ear for 2 days. The time he held my wrist so tight I had bruises shaped like his fingers. The time I did call the police, once, years ago, and he laughed while they stood on our porch. "Go ahead," he said. "Call them. I'll be out in an hour, and you'll be sorry." And he was out in an hour. He brought me roses that night, said it was a bad day. I stayed, because I was scared, because I had Tyler, because part of me believed him when he said no one would believe me. But now I had proof. I had recordings. I had Tyler, not just as a reason to stay, but a reason to leave. I picked up my phone. My fingers hovered over the number I'd written down weeks ago. A women's shelter hotline, saved under a fake contact name. I called. A calm voice answered. "Safe Harbor Shelter. Can I help you?" I didn't say my name. I didn't even say hello. I just whispered, "I think I need help." And for the first time in years, I didn't feel completely alone. Tyler sat across from me at the kitchen table, his arms crossed, jaw clenched like he was trying not to shake. He looked older than 14 in that moment. Too old. "I want to protect you," he said quietly. "I hate him." I didn't know what to say. Hearing it out loud like that, from my own son, hurt in a way I didn't expect. Not because it wasn't true, but because he had to feel that way. Then he told me something else, something that made my heart race. "I've been talking to someone at school, a counselor. My first instinct was fear. What if they told Mike? What if someone let it slip?" But Tyler held up his hand. "She's not stupid. She knows something's wrong. She didn't push me, but I think she's already reported it." I blinked. "Reported what?" "To CPS," he said. I didn't give names, not exactly, but I think she figured it out. She told me if things got worse, they'd send someone. maybe even come to the house. That terrified me and gave me hope, like someone else finally saw through the walls we'd built. Then Tyler leaned in closer. "There's one more thing," he said. "It's risky." I didn't like the way he said that. "What is it?" He took out a small black object from his pocket, something I didn't recognize at first. It looked like a USB, but with a tiny lens. "A friend from school has a cousin into tech. I traded him my old Switch for this. It's a hidden camera." "Tyler, listen," he said. "We already have the audio, but video. If we get him on camera doing something, hitting, threatening, even just yelling, it's done. No way he walks away from that." I shook my head. "It's dangerous." "I know," he said, "but you can wear it. We hide it in something. If he loses it again, we have everything." His eyes were hard, determined. It scared me how calm he was. "We don't have to wait for CPS. We can do this ourselves." I looked at the little camera, then at my son. He wasn't scared anymore, and maybe it was time I wasn't either. The locket was silver, heart-shaped, a little too shiny to look real. When Tyler handed it to me, I smiled, touched and confused. Then he opened it, showing me the tiny camera lens hidden inside. "It's fake jewelry," he said, "but it's real protection." I hesitated. I held the locket in my hand for a long time. It felt heavier than it should have, not just because of the hidden tech, but because of what it meant, what it asked me to do. "Tyler, if he finds this..." "He won't," he said. "He never notices what you wear anyway." He was right. Mike noticed control, not details. Still, the idea terrified me. Wearing that locket meant setting a trap. It meant inviting the monster out of his cage and standing there while he roared. I wasn't sure I had that in me. But then came the close call. It was a Wednesday. Mike had a bad day at work. I could tell by the way he slammed the door. I didn't even say anything this time. I just handed him his dinner and backed away. But he knocked the plate from my hands, soup splashing across the floor. He didn't hit me, not that time. But he stood over me, fists clenched, breathing hard. Tyler watched from the hallway, silent. Mike never saw him. That night, I put the locket on. 2 days later, I made my move. It was late. Tyler was in his room. I had made Mike's dinner, cold spaghetti, and set it on the table without a word. He looked up. "This it?" "I figured I'd match the effort you give this family," I said. His eyes narrowed. "What did you say?" I sat across from him. My heart pounded, but my voice stayed even. "Just saying it's nice you show up at all. Most husbands don't need to scare their wives into staying." The silence after that felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. He stood slowly, eyes dark. "You trying to start something?" "Why bother?" I said softly. "You just finish it with your fists." And that did it. He flipped the table, grabbed my wrist, yelled so loud I thought the walls would crack. He didn't hit me, not that time, but his threats, his voice, his grip, it was all there, right in the lens, right in the audio. After he stormed out, I shut the bedroom door and locked it. My hand shook as I took the locket off. It had worked. We had him. And now, he didn't even know the noose was tightening. I drove across town with the flash drive in my purse, my hands shaking the whole way. I hadn't spoken to Rachel in almost 10 years. We used to be close, college roommates, best friends. But life pulled us apart after I married Mike. He never liked her, said she was too nosy, but Rachel was a lawyer now, a damn good one, and the only person I trusted with this. When I walked into her office and she saw my face, she stood up right away. "Ellie?" I nodded, tried to smile, but it broke halfway. I handed her the flash drive without a word. She listened, watched. The video from the locket, the audio Tyler had saved. She didn't say anything for a while. Then she looked up, eyes hard. "He's not just abusive, he's dangerous. We're going to bury him." Her confidence gave me a little strength back. For the first time in a long time, I felt like someone was on our side. She said she'd start filing the paperwork and warned me not to go back home without a plan. But I had to. Tyler was still there. And Mike, he'd notice if I stayed out too long. When I got home, I knew something was wrong the moment I stepped inside. The house was too quiet. Mike was standing by the hall closet. He didn't say anything, just stared at me. Then he held up the drawer from the filing cabinet, empty. "Looking for something?" he asked, voice cold. My stomach dropped. He knew. I tried to play dumb. "What are you talking about?" But he wasn't listening. He walked past me, calmly, and locked the front door, then the back one. I heard each deadbolt click like a warning. "You think I'm stupid?" he said. "You think I don't know what's going on?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. My hands were already reaching for my phone in my coat pocket. Slowly, hoping he wouldn't see. "You and that little brat," he growled. "You think you can take me down?" He was pacing now, breathing faster. I backed toward Tyler's room, praying he was inside, safe, awake. That was the moment I knew. We might not survive the weekend, and I had to do something before it was too late. Mike found Tyler in the hallway, standing just outside his room. It was early morning. I'd barely slept. I had just finished texting Rachel that things were worse when I heard Mike's voice. "You think you're safe because he's your dad," he said. I froze. Mike had cornered Tyler near the bathroom, one hand on the wall beside him, blocking his way. "Tyler," he said, tone smoother now. "We need to talk." Tyler didn't move. "I know your mum's been saying things," Mike continued, "but she's not well. You know that, right? She's confused." Tyler's fists were clenched at his sides. "Dad," he said quietly, "I saw you hit her. That's not what you think. She twisted it all. She's always done this kind of thing." Mike reached out, but Tyler stepped back. "You hit her," he repeated, louder this time. "You scared her. You scare me." The hallway felt too narrow, too quiet. I stepped out of the bedroom, heart racing. Mike saw me, his eyes narrowing. "Get back inside," he snapped. "No," Tyler said. That stopped him. Mike turned, confused. "What did you say?" "I said no." Tyler stepped forward. His voice shook, but he didn't back down. "You don't get to tell us what to do anymore." Mike took one step toward him, and Tyler moved in front of me. "Touch her again," Tyler said, "and I'll break every finger on your hand." Mike's face twisted. "You little—" He raised his hand, and everything stopped, because right then, someone knocked on the door. 3 sharp knocks. "Police, open up!" Mike froze, his hand still halfway up. Another knock, then the door burst open. 2 officers stepped inside. Their eyes swept the room, landing on Mike, on me, on Tyler, who still stood between us. One of them stepped forward. "Michael Decker? You're under arrest for domestic assault, child endangerment, and obstruction." Mike laughed, actually laughed. "You got the whole world fooled, huh?" he said, staring at me. "You think this ends with me in cuffs?" The cops pulled his arms behind his back. "You think I won't find a way out of this?" he shouted as they dragged him to the door. "You think I'm scared of you?" They pulled him out. The door slammed shut. Silence. Tyler turned to me. His shoulders were shaking. I wrapped my arms around him. He didn't cry, but I did. And I didn't stop for a long, long time. The day after Mike's arrest, police came back with a search warrant. I thought they were just collecting evidence for the case, maybe checking for weapons or surveillance devices. I didn't expect them to find more. It started in the basement. One of the officers called out to me from the top of the stairs. "Ma'am, was this room always here?" I blinked. "What room?" "We rarely use the basement. Mike always kept it locked, said it was where he stored tools and junk from his old job." I never questioned it. I didn't want to. That part of the house belonged to him, and I'd learned to stay away. They pried open a hidden panel behind the water heater. That's when they found it. A small room, maybe 10 by 10. No windows. The walls were lined with shelves full of broken phones, smashed cameras, and a box full of photographs, most of them torn, stained, or burned around the edges. There was also a locked drawer inside a rusted metal cabinet. It took them 10 minutes to get it open. Inside were 6 IDs. One belonged to a woman named Hannah Reyes. She'd gone missing from a nearby town 5 years ago. I remembered her face from the news, now faded and yellowed in my memory. The lead officer turned to me, his voice calm but tense. "Did you know anything about this?" I shook my head, numb. I didn't. I never asked what Mike did before we met. He said he worked odd jobs, moved around a lot. I thought it was strange, but I never pushed. Now I realized why. Mike wasn't just abusive. He was something darker, something evil. And I had lived under the same roof with it, slept next to it, let it raise my son. When the media got wind of what the police found, everything exploded. They called me the woman who never knew. Reporters camped outside our house. Photos of me and Tyler were everywhere, on the internet, on the news. People wanted interviews. I said no to all of them. I wasn't ready to explain how I let a monster into my home. I wasn't ready to admit I never looked close enough. And I wasn't ready to understand what else Mike might have done. Mike was charged with everything: assault, child endangerment, evidence tampering, and more that the police were still uncovering. They found enough in that basement to keep him in prison for a long time, maybe forever. He didn't say a word in court. just stared at me from across the room with that same dead smile he used to wear when no one else was around. But it didn't matter anymore. He was gone, locked away. Tyler and I left the state just a few weeks later. My sister lived across the country, in a quiet town with good schools and a small guest house out back. She welcomed us without questions. She even cried when we arrived. It wasn't easy. Every little sound still made me jump. Tyler flinched whenever someone raised their voice, even on TV. We started therapy, together and apart. I cried during the first session. Tyler didn't. He just sat there, arms crossed, jaw tight. But I could see it working on him, slowly. We bought new clothes, enrolled him in school under a different last name. I started working part-time at a diner. I hadn't worked in years, but it felt good to move again, to earn something on my own. One night, about 3 months in, I passed by Tyler's room and heard something I hadn't heard in a long time. My own voice, crying. I stopped in the doorway. He was sitting on the floor, his laptop open, headphones on, the recordings. I walked in slowly and sat down beside him. "You don't have to listen to that anymore," I said gently. He didn't look at me at first, just took off one earbud. "I know," he said, "but I want to." "Why?" He paused for a long moment, then looked over at me. "Because I never want to forget who we beat." I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. I just reached out and took his hand. For the first time in years, I felt something real move through me. Not fear, not anger, something stronger. I looked at him, this boy who saw the truth, who stood in front of me when I couldn't stand on my own. And in that moment, I knew. I let him in for years. I believed his lies. I covered his bruises with makeup and made excuses. But now I'll never let him out. Not from prison, not from memory, not from the lesson we earned in blood.